It's easy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast called For a New World. In this in this chapter, we're going to talk about NASA's plan to send remarkable people to Mars to create a new colony there. In this chapter, we will talk about climate change and natural resources. We all know we can't live on the Earth forever, but how is it possible to create a colony on Mars without harming the Earth? I think most of us don't want to live on Mars now, right? We're expecting to live our lives here. But is moving out to another planet our only option to survive? Today, we are going to answer two questions. How is the NASA project to create a colony on Mars linked to climate change? And are our natural resources taking part in the decision of setting up a colony in Mars? In both questions, we are going to add some more information to make a complete chapter talking about climate change and natural resources. Also, today we're with a forest engineer who works for NASA, called Rosalie Gouet. So tell us more about how NASA is thinking about how to deal with climate change during his mission, in order to avoid damaging the environment. Before you answer, let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about for you and for the public listening to us. In the recent years, it's proved the fact that NASA increased the amount of rockets they create. However, rockets burn hydrocarbon fuels that generate soot, and in that way, they damage the environment. Tell us, Rosie, how do you avoid this to happen? I suppose it has been a whole change for you and for NASA.
Hi, I'm Russell Gold. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that if NASA wasn't worried about taking care of the environment, will I be hired? The answer is no. My job at NASA is exactly that, to avoid hurting the planet. When we started this mission, we did it with the objective of having an alternative planet to live on, but not now. That is why our newest designs of rockets are 100% eco-friendly. I know the motor could be harmful, but in this case, we use natural resources and replanting them to improve the environment.
Well, that's impressive. I'm sure almost everyone listening to this podcast didn't know about it. Thanks for this information and for taking the time to explain to us. We were being ignorant and we didn't know that. Now we all know these important details, but Rosalie will give you more information in the next section.
Now I'm going to explain to you guys about how climate change affect us. Climate change is already a real fact beyond any scientific uncertainty. Climate change is here and we can see it. The global average increase in temperature is already at zero point 0.8 centigrade. As a consequence, we are already facing loss of biodiversity, melting glaciers, extreme weather events, ocean acidification, and change in habitats. These impacts affect communities seriously, affecting 325 million people, causing 300,000 deaths, and generating losses of $125 billion per year worldwide. The current impacts of climate change are several worrisome, but an average global temperature rise of 2 centigrade will lead to much more dangerous and irreversible project impacts. We still have time to avoid a greater tragedy, but we must act now. Let's first talk about how is a NASA project to create a colony in Mars linked to climate change? Well, NASA is still studying and watching how our climate is going because global warming is growing and they need to do research to be able to assess how much time they have left to continue researching for the new colonial Mars project. Combined data from the three NASA satellites have produced a long-term record that reveals the mesosphere, the layer of the atmosphere, 30 to 50 miles above the surface, is cooling and contracting. Science, Scientists have long predicted this effect of human drive and climate change, but it has been difficult to observe the trends over time. Are our natural resources taking part in the decision of setting a colony on Mars? But first, we're going to answer, what are natural resources? Natural resources include all plants, animals, and insects, as well as the inner world. The complex interaction between them are vital to preserving life. Over the years, a complicated web of relationships has been created between all these parts of creation, each depend on many others. If we abuse our position and squander or destroy a resource, such as water or an animal species, we damage the sensitive balance of all these systems. Okay, now answering the question. Human beings are gradually depleting these natural resources of the planet, and the levels of quality of life will begin to decline by the year 2030 unless immediately measures are taken. The Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, warns that the current overexploration exploitation of natural resources is generating a huge deficit. Science, Science each year 20% more than what can be regenerated is consumed, but the percentage does not stop growing. This is one of the reasons that NASA is still looking for more things that could give us the opportunity to continue with the project of making a new colony on Mars. We wanted to give you guys some advices for protect and save our natural resources. Use the three R's that are recycle, reuse, and reduce. Consume ecological products. Plant trees. Use reusable bags. Avoid artificial chemicals. And the most important, awareness. We need to imagine if we did not have another planet to go live. If we destroy the planet, where will we live? Let's begin to understand that our planet needs a break since our species was created.
It's possible that during our stay on Mars as a colony and after a year and with a community formed, we will be able to contaminate the new home called Mars again. Since our selfish and disinterested human behavior could cause us to deteriorate this new planet. When a percentage of humanity leaves the Earth to live on Mars, the most probable thing would be that pollution and heat consumption of the Earth's resources will be greatly reduced, allowing the Earth to be in a stable situation. May humanity live a few more years in it, but if humans continue to mistreat planet Earth, if we continue to throw plastic into the sea, loss of living beings will die intoxicated. If we continue to store the garbage in canals, we will contaminate underground aquifers that are useful in the dry years for drinking and watering. If we continue like this, we'll end up running out the resources that are essential to live on Earth since we depend on them and our only hope will be the trip to Mars. In conclusion, let's begin instead that we are spending the resources that the planet has provided us for millions of years, and the simple fact that humanity is planning a trip to another planet with conditions similar to Earth is due more than anything to that such a crypt rule that in the future the planet Earth will no longer be habitable for humanity because we ourselves are the ones who are consuming the planet's research in excess and damaging and at the same time with pollution, deforestation, among other things. Thanks for listening to us. Listen to us. Don't forget to listen to our next podcast.